Hello, beautiful moms. My name is Sharice Walker, and I am beyond thrilled to welcome you to the Unbreakable Mompreneurs podcast. This is a place where we come together to learn, grow, and inspire one another. I am so excited to share my personal journey with you, as well as the personal journey of others, and to show you that anything is possible if you set your heart and mind to it. We are all Unbreakable Mompreneurs, and we are in this together. Well, hello. I am Sharice Walker with Unbreakable Mompreneurs, and today my guest is Holly Porter. And Holly has an incredible background, and so I'm excited you are in for a treat. So Holly, why don't you introduce yourself to us?
Well, hi everyone. Glad to be here. Thanks, Sharice, for having me on the show. And I just shared with her, I'm an open book. She really can ask me anything. I have nothing to hide. I've run for political office, so all my skeletons are out. So I would just love for you just to see where this conversation goes, and hopefully we'll give a few nuggets to the listeners that they can take with them and use into their lives.
Okay, well, thank you. So as we were talking before, you have 8 children, right? And
I do. They're adult children. Yeah.
okay. And 22 grandchildren, you said?
17.
17. Well, I don't know.
I don't know if we'll hit 22. I think we're getting to the end now. We got a couple more, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so 17 grandkids, and you have started 11 businesses. Correct?
Yeah, I've had 11 startup companies. Yeah.
So can you tell us what some of the things you've done are?
Oh my gosh. So I had the longest one I had was a salon and spa, and it was in Cedar City, Utah, and it was the biggest one we had in town at the time. So I'm a master esthetician, a cosmetologist, an instructor. That was kind of always the passion idea, when I was younger to do. And so that I even was a nail tech too. Like I had a good day for me was, a color, a pedicure, spray tan. I mean, I just did it all and I loved it, but I never had just one thing. We've always had 3 or 4 companies. We have a concrete company and we've been married 22 years now. And he's had it about 37 years. He's done concrete. So I inherited that one. Real estate, I started about 19 years ago, and then I got my broker's license, and I literally had my real estate office inside of the salon. It was like literally one-stop shop. All my real estate clients would end up being my hair clients, and and my friends. They're always my friends. Yeah. And so I had those. I didn't count any of those business as like a network marketing. I bet I've got anyone beat that's listening. I think I've been part of 23. And it's mostly because I love the products. They always get the best products. And the smart business plan is to put a network marketing idea behind it. And so I've built a couple of those, and I always have 3 or 4 things I'm ordering products from. But I didn't count those in the 11. Let's see. So where are we now? I have a tech company. We've been in about 2 years in business, and we're just getting to launch that. And then I have a nonprofit that I started for long COVID after I almost died from COVID a couple years ago. And we've had a fundraising company. I don't even know what number we're on, but like all over the board. I have had a daycare. I've had a preschool. And it seems like when I raised my kids, my businesses complemented what would work in our lifestyle. Right.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And you have to be flexible as a mom, definitely, especially with that many kids.
Oh, yeah.
I have 6, so I have 7. Okay, so what are you working on right now?
So right now we are working still. I always work on my nonprofit because it's new. It's 2 years old as well. So within 3 months after getting out of the hospital, after 70 days and in a coma, a lot of that time, I just knew that that's what my intuition and God told me to do. And so I did it. So we had both of them incorporated and started. It's called Adventure Bucket Wish Foundation, and it's for people with long COVID, which most people don't even realize. It's not really fun. Like everything I do, I want to be fun. It's not fun because nobody wants to hear the C word of COVID, right? We're done. Let's get that behind us. We all suffered. The whole world suffered at the same time. But there's 65 million plus documented cases of long COVID, which tells me there's a lot more than that. Right. There's people that have it that don't even realize. And so that's been kind of a thing for that. That is the philanthropy piece to the software company. And the software company is, the easiest way to explain it is called Retreat R&R. And I kind of did a play off of Airbnb just because they've already done all the marketing, right? And it's just top of mind awareness. So we're similar to a VRBO, Airbnb, but for retreats. So it's a booking site, and it's more than that. It's for, our real avatar is retreat leaders, corporate people that do events. We can have family, big events, yoga events, anything you can think that a group would gather in an event. We will have venues that they can go book at. Eventually it'll be all over the world, but it's a lot to chew off. We're doing it in phases, and the retreat leaders can drag and drop and build on phase 2 their own events. They need a chef to show up, they need a speaker. And so the author, speaker, coaches world that I'm part of, that is, they're going to love it, because we also have an education university piece that they can come in and now get new clients, and we teach them to do retreats so that they can basically know, like, and trust factor built in after spending 3, 4, 7 days with you, whatever it is. People want to drop a little more money with you and decide to work with you if they like you. And it's hard to do that from a stage for a speaker us. So anyway, that was a lot, a loaded question, sorry, but that's kind of sums it up.
Well, and I want to take that in 2 phases. And so with the COVID, I'm sure, I want to assume that everybody knows what COVID is, right? But what is long COVID? If you explain long COVID just briefly, so some people might not know exactly what that is.
Yeah, so long COVID is symptoms that linger longer.
Right.
60 days is kind of what I've been told. And they have things that are going wrong in their body, or symptoms that were similar to COVID that just never go away. There are 200 symptoms linked to long COVID. So think about it. That's about everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I can pinpoint, when I look at the list, I've had at least 75 of them. I mean, I'm the extreme for long COVID. We have a podcast for the nonprofit. I interviewed a guy. Well, first of all, his wife spent 4 months. I was 70 days. She was almost 4 months on an echo, which is a really, like, people don't come off that. That does your heart and blood, and an intubation. She had a baby while she was in there, like right when she went in, and she didn't see her baby for 3 months. She couldn't have any family for 3 months, even to see them. So the fact that she had that will to live was amazing. Her husband had COVID, and I interviewed him as a caretaker to her and someone else with long COVID, because he had no symptoms of COVID, but tested for weeks, and he has long COVID. So there's no rhyme or reason. There's no two people alike. A lot of symptoms do cross over with people. They become autoimmune. So the best way I can explain it is, anything that may have sat dormant in your body that you weren't aware of will catch it on fire, including, I'm seeing a lot of, like, dementia and Alzheimer's too. That just speeds it up. So, like, rheumatoid arthritis I ended up with, and like a level 2, 3 months out of the hospital.
You're telling us, you heard a group of people that said, fight, fight, fight. And then what happened?
Yeah, so they were all behind me, and every time they chant fight, then more people would appear. And there were so many people, like more than I could even count, right? And I realize now that was all those people, all those prayer lists I was on that people were sending out, and at their church and at whatever, their schools, wherever. And I knew that. And so it was that moment when I knew that I wasn't going to die.
Yeah.
And what led up to that, which I should have said first, is my cousin, she had had sent a text to my sisters, had them read it to me. Oh, and I clearly remember that. I was awake enough to know what was going on. And then I must have got put back in my coma, because most of it was induced, sometimes paralyzed, sometimes not. And I remember praying and being mad. She's kind of like a sister, so that little sassiness came out. And I remember being mad that I'm the one suffering, and God's letting my cousin get this information. Why aren't I getting it, right? Because she was talking about she's a feeler. I'm more of a seer. She's more of a feeler.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying how she felt all this presence and asked who's with me. And so she named them one by one. So then it was me like, oh, well, why? And that was when I saw this vision. That was when it happened, was, that this isn't fair, And so I felt like that was my blessing, my gift, my miracle, that I got to see that. And so that was that experience. And then I had a whole nother near-death experience, and that could be a whole nother show, but it just changed. I did get shared. I was going to partner with somebody on my tech company. That's a name everybody would know, so I won't say. And I just really got told, don't do that. That's not the right path. It might take you a little longer, but you'll have another avenue. And then also the nonprofit, the name everything came to me. And so right after, like, I knew I was supposed to do that. And I always wanted a nonprofit. Never could really land on one.
Right.
Someone said, just go support others. And I did that for years through Rotary International. And this was it. And like I said, it's not fun. It's a tough one because no one really wants to hear about it. And that's why we need to create the awareness for it, because so many are suffering lifelong issues because of it.
Well, it's interesting that the title that you settled on, because I'm actually starting a nonprofit, and like even the name is very similar to yours, but it's actually for the elderly. And we're going to have to get together and talk about it, because I'm sure that they could go hand in hand together.
Yes. So another miracle, we got our 501c3 in 25 days.
Really?
That's unheard of.
We have to talk to you about that.
Yeah. So, I'm happy to share. I've helped others.
Starting nonprofits. I mean, because some moms, they might not want to start a company, but they want to start a nonprofit. So can you kind of briefly talk about that process?
Yeah. Well, really a lot of people. So for me, I didn't start it to get a salary or make money off it. That wasn't my purpose. My purpose was to educate people, to help give people support, give them hope, create awareness around it. Originally, it was based around giving them wishes and Adventure Bucket Wish. And it became more of an experience. So really now it's more creating something for them that they wouldn't be able to do because now they have long COVID. Creating a way, right, to something, and a memory and an experience. So it's more that, and that's where really a lot of the funds will go. The awareness, the podcast, there's operating expenses. But if someone's thinking about it, I guess you just I would go take a course. Honestly, the colleges, I know there's supposed to be one starting here that I thought about doing too, like a grant writing, because it's really challenging to do it all yourself. So I had a mastermind that I was part of, and we ended up being friends, because it's been like 4 or 5 years we've done it now. And we went through, divorce and bankruptcy and deaths. And so we ended up getting this good bond. So they helped me. Of course, they were watching every second, hanging on while I was in the hospital. And when I got out, they became my board, because they helped me create it. And so you need good people in your corner. But now we're looking for maybe an influencer, a celebrity, which I'm noticing I need to be really careful, because a lot of the celebrities that I've researched that have long COVID, without saying names again, I don't want to be attached to them. It's political. They're out there and they're thinking and what they're doing. And I don't want anything we do to become a religious or a political thing, right? It's to create awareness, it's to help people suffering. And there's so many.
Yeah, and we're going to digress for a second. We're having some technical difficulties, so that's why there's a glitch, and you're a little blurry right now. So I'm hoping that we see you. Okay, so you've started a nonprofit, you've gone through COVID, you've had several businesses, you have several children. So if you were on a park bench, this is a question I like to ask, and you're sitting next to your 18-year-old self, what is one piece of advice that you would give your 18-year-old self?
I'd say, hang on, you're on a ride of your life. I don't know how much I would change, honestly, because I wouldn't be who I am today. And I wouldn't have those experiences, those memories, those challenges, the heartbreaks. Yeah, I've thought about a lot of things. What decision would I have made? So for moms, it's our first time. I remember my mom telling me that. She said, I haven't been a mom before when I was being a stinker teenager.
Mhm.
I haven't been a mom before. This is my first time. I was like, poor mom's crying out for help to her poor teenager jerk,
Yeah,
at the moment. I'm
I
thinking,
think we
that's
all
so
have
true
those
though.
moments.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's wisdom in that. Like we're learning, we do the best we can with the information we have. We
Mhm.
raise our children the best we can with what we know. Now, if you're not willing to grow as a mom and you're not
Right.
willing to be open and learn
Mhm.
and get educated, right? There's books. I mean, there's so much, anything you want to know is free
Mhm.
on YouTube. So go to YouTube University and search what you need to figure out and just start digging in. There's so many podcasts now. Yours, I'm sure if they just listen to yours, they would get so much wisdom from the guests that you bring, because I know you're not just getting anybody. You're picking great people to come and share their wisdom. And so I think learning the best wisdom is honestly not making the mistakes yourself,
Right.
watching people
Yes.
and realizing their consequences, thinking, maybe I don't want to do that and have that consequence, right? We all get our own consequences. We all get to make our own mistakes. I tend to make mistakes 3 times in a row, a lot of times before my hard head gets it through that that probably wasn't the best choice.
Right.
But doing it over, no. I asked people, by the way, about a week ago, I had a little meme I put on, and I've done it in a talk I've done
Mhm.
too. I give people a red pill and a blue pill, and they only have, I count down from 10 seconds, and you have 10 seconds to make a decision which one you're going to take. Okay. And one is knowing what you know now, but
Mhm.
going back to your 6-year-old self and going through it all again, but
Right.
knowing your knowledge, or $10 million. And business people that have their knowledge now think, oh, I could make way more than $10 million and I would change. A lot of people that are sentimental would go back and say, oh, I would get to spend more time with my mom or my
Mhm.
grandma. I would know she's going to die. And so I'd have all that knowledge and I could just learn. Other people that aren't money motivated, people that are money motivated, they just want the money and run, right?
Sure.
And the older I get, the more taking the money appeals to me because I don't want to re-experience things. I feel like maybe I didn't learn all the lessons I need to learn yet. I mean, obviously I survived my near-death stuff, so I obviously needed to come back and do this, but to figure out that why and the passion, what you're really passionate about. I was always happy with what I did, but I didn't really know this is where you're headed. This is what, like, I feel like I have an end game now and an end result. I never could dream longer than 5 years in the future. And
Wow.
now I'm like, maybe I won't live longer than 5 years. Do any of us know? But I don't want to waste one day.
Yeah. And I think once you feel a calling or once you feel like I remember I was sitting in a conference with, we'd gone out to Florida and it's a pretty big marketing conference. And my mind was blown because I had hired a coach and I guess I should back up. I was laying in bed and I had had hip surgery. I think it was my second hip surgery. I've had 3 and I
Oh
still
my
have
goodness.
another one. And,
God
um,
bless you.
well, I'm training for a marathon, so no hip surgeries this year. But it was interesting because she changed my life. Like she really did. And I wish, like, she always said, don't do anything. Don't get distracted. Just do my program. Don't have anything else. And of course, I didn't listen to her. I'd been in her program for about 9 months, and it didn't see the results as much as I wanted because of my execution. But she was speaking at a conference, so I decided to go watch her. And that conference has completely changed my life because I remember my husband we went to Denny's because he hates that type of stuff. So I took my whole family, but I went to the conference. They hung out at the hotel, and I'm like, I'm going to be a millionaire in a year. And he's just like, and I took a picture of his facial expression because I'm like, are you kidding me? I am going to be. And that's the part that really my whole life just changed completely. And the abundance that I've had since has been
Yeah.
incredible. And I think that
You stood in it.
when we feel called to do something, or when we feel like, okay, this is what we're supposed to do, it's like, you can't stop. I can't just, like, I'm writing a book and it's taken me a little while because I've rewritten it. It's getting sent to the editor today. But
Yay.
I know, finally, it's 3 months past due. But I was talking with a loved one and she's like, "Ah, I would have just given up." And I'm like, huh? Like you have all this, I mean, here's the manuscript right here, right? You have all of this information and you spent so much time and energy. Like what I have to share is important. And when you feel called to do something, it's like I think of all the people that I have not affected because it's taken me so long to finish my goal and my dream and what I feel called to do.
Yes.
And I think that, looking back, um, you see all those movies where if you could, I forgot it, like he can see 5 seconds in the future. So he tries all these different things, or they go back to their
Yeah.
childhood and they relive it. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's interesting to listen to people because the things that you've been through is incredible and that you've endured, the things that we've all had traumas, we've all had different things. And would you go back? Because you're a stronger person today because of those things. So,
Right.
the $10 million, that's a lot of money. And you now know how to spend it more wisely and invest. So you'd be
Yeah.
clear about stuff. But then you don't get to experience all those other things that you've done. So
Yeah.
regret is something that to me, it just eats away. It's like cancer,
Yeah.
woulda, coulda,
Yeah.
shouldas. It's like, no, live in the present. What can you do today and move forward? So,
Yeah. Well, and what can you do as far as like nonprofits? What can you do
yeah,
today that'll change the future of someone else
right,
tomorrow?
right. Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's true.
yeah, I don't know. I could go on and on and on, but I won't. Just read the book.
I can tell we could have some long, we need to go on a girls
I
trip. We
know
could have
because
some fun.
it's so close. Yeah, this is not going to be the last time we talk. That's for sure. But
Yeah.
okay, so the very last question, if you like a golden piece of nugget that you've learned from starting up your businesses that you wish you would have had that mentor that was talking to you and saying, hey, do this. What do you wish in starting a new business you would have known that you know now?
I think the biggest lesson I learned from like the near death and everything was to love people more.
Mm,
Love them where they're at. And I think if I would have loved people where they were at, and because I feel like that's part of my personality style is that judgment,
mm,
the whys. I want to know why. Like I feel like I'm always playing devil's advocate with people when I have conversations. I always
right.
I always seem to side with the other person and give them that perspective. Like
Mm,
I don't know why I do that.
yeah,
I don't want them ever to think I don't have their back. I always
yeah,
have their back.
mhm,
I just want them to like look at a different perception. And sometimes there's been probably a lot of times in my life that I haven't done that. And if I would put myself in those shoes, it
mhm,
might have made some different business decisions. I mean, I've walked away from best friends and relationships because maybe they didn't trust me, but it was a mirror effect on them. It was like I had every reason not to trust them, but I never gave them a reason not to trust me.
mhm,
But because of their actions, I can't be friends with someone who can't trust me because
mm,
I'm trustable, right? And so sometimes we have to cut those ties with certain people. And that would be what I would say. Just having that knowing of, or that gut feeling and listening to that, because we all have intuition.
mhm,
Some just listen to it a little bit more, some tune into it.
yeah.
And I think decisions can be made quickly if you do listen.
So you started with love and you went to intuition. And I think that that's an important thing because, there's a business endeavor that I did, actually several, where I heard the voice say, no, don't do that. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. I'm going to do it anyway. And whoa, how I wish that I'd be a lot richer. And,
Yeah.
the relationships haven't changed. Like I fought hard to maintain them. But I do agree with you that just because you have to distance yourself. I think Jim Rome said, look around your 5 people that you surround yourself with that defines who you are. And that was an eye opener for me 5 years ago or 4.5 years ago, because I realized I need better friends. And it's not that
Yeah.
people
It
aren't
makes you
bad,
real.
but it's who you are. And you need to bring yourself to different people. So if you have to distance yourself, it doesn't mean you don't have to be friendly. It doesn't mean you can't say hi, how you doing, and be nice to them. But
Right.
do they have to be your inner circle? No.
So there is probably one regret I can think of as a blanket statement that I think I've thought of quite a bit. And I always cared so much about relationships
Mhm.
and how it would affect. but I feel like it hurt my relationship more now as my kids are adults because I didn't put them first. Like
Right.
I was running these businesses and,
Mm-hmm.
I took time to go and watch them all play soccer. I had 4 kids playing soccer on 4 different fields at the same time. You're not 4 people, right? You got to just figure it out. But I also remember I showed up, but I was sitting on the phone doing a real estate deal. What, and it was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
looking back, I mean, I had a daughter and I've seen how her life has not ended. It's not ended. She's still here, but I mean, it's not been well. She's an addict and she's doing better now, but it's hard. I look back and I think when it all started and I thought she tried to commit suicide at 14. And I remember I stuck her on an ambulance and put her up north to a hospital and thought kind of it was almost like, I'll show you, right? I know you didn't want to kill yourself because she didn't. She
Mm-hmm.
did it for attention. So I gave her a show. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what she wanted. That's what I gave her. And looking back, I remember I was doing someone's nails the next day. And I remember I had to change their appointment because what had happened. And I showed up for them. And I thought, wow, looking back, like, was that more important? I should have still been up at the hospital up there with her instead of doing the job and making sure my client was taken care of. How about making sure your kid's taken care of? Like
Yeah.
emotionally, I look back and think there were a few incidences like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do regret. I wish I could have changed. Knowing what I know now, I would have handled it different. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting you say that because I remember my dad, because I think we're probably the same religion. We can talk about that later, but I remember there was a competition that I was going to be in, and I just felt completely unprepared. And so, I mean, where we lived, because I grew up in California, so it was on this side of the town, and it was clear over 25 minutes away. And my dad lived in a different direction. And I called my
Oh,
dad up and I asked him to, I needed some counsel and I needed him because basically what he does for me. And so I remember he was in the middle of a meeting. I said, Dad, I need you to do this for me. And so he excused himself from the meeting. I showed up at his work. We went into his office. He took care of some things with me. And then I went off to this competition and we won. It was fantastic. But I think, okay, so that was one of those moments in my life where my dad showed up, and they did all the time. They were always there for me. But for me, I was a single mom for a while. I was a breadwinner. I've always been the breadwinner. And so
right.
I have 2 special needs kids. And to think, like my oldest, not making the decisions that I would recommend. It's hard for me to watch, but he's got his free agency. And so I think that it's tough to watch that. And woulda, coulda, shouldas are tough as a mom because you do have to support them. You do have to be at these things. But at the same time, one of my sons was in the hospital as well. And fortunately, I could only be there for an hour a week. So I was there for that week. But I wish, like when they call me and I'm showing a home or I'm with clients, I wish that it's very easy for me to say, I'll call you back because I don't want to interrupt my client. But,
Yeah.
there are parents, one of my coaches, she's in the middle of a 350 person coaching call. Her kid calls, she takes that call. She doesn't care
Yeah.
about those 350. And so that, I like that you said that because as a mom, if the listeners can hear that you really do have to prioritize. And if people have an issue with the fact that they're taking time away from them because of a child, do you really want
Yeah.
to work with that type of person?
It's true.
So, I mean,
I wonder if we could do a suggestion I've thought of, like how I do rating systems, a 1 to 10 rating system. And maybe you could do that with your kids, not you, the listeners,
yeah,
do with your kids where let's really be truthful. And if I say what number are you on, I know what kind of urgency
yeah,
you're having at that moment. And if it's a 7 or if it's a 5 and above,
hmm,
all stops pull out for you,
yeah,
right? But you got to also be considerate that this is how we put food on our table. And if
right,
I'm at work, you got to know. But if it's serious enough that it can wait, then let your number be lower. But if it's a number, that's 5 or more, then if it's a 9, I know it's an emergency and I'm stopping
yeah,
everything right now. I don't care what, I don't know. Just kind of a thought. Maybe have a little game with kids. Make it a game, but make it so there's an honesty behind it.
yeah.
Because everything's an emergency to a teenager, right?
Or a 10-year,
They're on a 10
yeah.
daily.
No, I was playing the piano. So my son had, what was it called? On solo ensemble. It was a competition that he had to
Uh-huh.
do. Okay, I had practiced for 4 weeks this song, and it was 16 other boys that I was playing this musical piece for.
Wow.
And whenever I perform, I biff it. Like it's this performance anxiety that I get. So I was trying to I played this a million times. My hands know it, my brain not necessarily. So I can do this. And I've never had any interruption. Okay, mom, if you wear that smartwatch, be aware. Because here I am playing the piano and all of a sudden my watch starts going off. Like we're in the middle. It's a 4-minute piece, 4.5 minute. And all the time my watch has never gone off. My watch
Oh,
keeps going off and it keeps going off and it keeps going off. The whole time I played, the phone kept ringing. And so I knew it was my daughter. So here I'm playing for my son and all his people. And my daughter keeps calling and I'm like, oh. And because of that, I lose focus and I mess up. And so I think that, you have to give yourself grace as a mom. You just have to give yourself grace and you have to do the best you can. And it's true. And with multiple children, sometimes you have to decide. And afterwards, I'm like, why'd you keep calling? She's like, because you wouldn't answer. So that's true. I like that golden nugget that you had, that do a rating system and really think if a mom's not picking up on her first call, give it a few seconds and maybe there's a reason.
yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, and I mean, I look at moms today and I watch my grandkids and I think, oh my gosh, I'm scared to death for them.
yeah.
And I'm sad for my kids because I feel like, and we were easier on my mom than my kids were on me. And my mom verified that, just so you know. You get one like you. I did, but I got worse. And she admitted I got worse. So it's like, thank you. But I think it's just doing the best you can.
Yeah.
And with what you have at the moment, but always be willing to learn more. And there's nothing wrong with having a girls group, that you can get. And I'm not talking about, a B session. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about attracting people in your circle that are going to support you and help you and not stir you up more. Because I have friends that they're like, yeah, and do this and do this. And it's like, you get all wound up and then you're like, you handle it totally different than maybe your heart would if you'd have just listened to your heart. Right.
Yep, that's true. It's not healthy to get into those sessions. And I had to distance myself from that. There's a group that anytime they got together, they badmouthed other people. And my husband's like, why don't you go hang out with them? I'm like, because I don't need that negativity in my life. It's not worth my time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to take time away from my family. It's like every time you say yes to something, you say no to something else. So I'm going to go take time to listen to all these people badmouth other people and take time away from my family.
Right.
I'm good. I don't need it. So,
well, I had a front row seat to that a lot, owning a salon for 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's true.
I feel like I had so much going on, so much drama happening because we were putting families together. We had all these teenagers and everything. Right. And we actually had 2 of our kids, my husband's son and my daughter, both our second children, married each other. So we were dealing with a lot. And anyway, it was crazy times. But I remember, I think people came to my salon. They came to me to hear, not to gossip. They just wanted to hear my life. Yeah. It was like, oh, okay.
Should have been serving.
They always feel feeling better, they said, because they didn't want to ever go through what I was.
That's true. All right. Well, we have been talking for a little while. I guess we could be talking all day long. But last piece, just a golden nugget that you want to leave people. We kind of talked about loving people. That was your entrepreneur. But something that I like your rating system. I guess we could end with that. But do you have anything else that you'd like to say?
I have one thing. So I always taught, in church kids, my kids, the golden rule. I had a daycare, taught them the golden rule: do unto others, you would have others do unto you. But then when I found the platinum rule, you know what that is?
I haven't heard of that one.
I probably won't paraphrase it exactly, but it's do unto them as they want done unto them. So it's not about you giving them what you want, you're giving them what they want.
Oh,
and I think if we could think about that, that's huge.
I love that. I've never heard
Platinum Rule. Tony Alessandra is his name. It's a book, The Platinum Rule.
The what? What was it called?
Platinum Rule. Okay. Tony Alessandra.
Okay. Thank you. So if people want to find you, because you're a speaker, right? You're an entrepreneur. How do they find you if they want to talk to you further?
Email is holly@hollyporter.com. Website, hollyporter.com. Facebook, Holly Ann Porter, I think. You can go to any of those. The nonprofit, if you're interested in checking that out, or if you know somebody with long COVID, I would love a connection. You can go and vote for somebody on there to get an experience. That's Adventure Bucket Wish. So WICH. So adventurebucketwish.org.
Okay. That's fantastic.
That would be great.
Well, thank you so much, Holly. And for those of you that want to hear more about Holly's story, feel free to check her out. She is an amazing woman who has a lot of different adventures that she is working on. And if you'd like a retreat or you'd like to find out about more long COVID, please give her a call. Have a great day.
Thank you.